Willpower is not a system. It's a short-lived boost that usually burns out before the habit does. If you started and stalled, this video will show 3 simple, concrete moves to make habits stick without pretending you have endless self-control. You'll walk away with a 1-week doable plan. Pick one tiny action you can do in under 2 minutes. Attach it to something you already do, like brushing your teeth or making coffee, and make it ridiculously easy to start by changing the environment. Example: want to read more? Leave one book on your pillow and read 1 page before bed. Want to move more? Put your walking shoes by the door and commit to 2 minutes of stepping. First, they'll give exact scripts, an if-then line you can say out loud, a clutter-clearing tweak to lower resistance, and a single tracking trick that takes 5 seconds a day. No sugarcoating, no magic, just practical steps you can try tonight if you're busy and honest about how life really goes. Why willpower is not enough. Self-control fluctuates throughout the day. It's not a permanent power bank you can dip into endlessly. Decision fatigue, mental load from work and family, stress, and plain physical tiredness all chip away at the ability to make good choices, so relying on a single heroic act of will is like banking on a single, perfect New Year's resolution. The environment you walk into every morning sends constant signals, visible snacks, an overflowing inbox, or shoes by the door, and those cues trigger automatic behavior faster than conscious resolve can catch up. Busy adults deal with dozens of tiny choices each day. What to eat, whether to reply now or later, which task to start first. When choices pile up, the brain defaults to the easiest or most gratifying option. That's why having a plan that removes choice at the moment of action works better than expecting willpower to show up. For example, if you want healthier lunches but always grab takeout after work, prepping 3 meals on Sunday or placing a lunchbox and water bottle by the front door makes the healthy choice require less thinking. If you want to save money, an automatic transfer on payday beats trying to resist impulse purchases later. Make small, specific design changes that do the heavy lifting for you. Move temptations out of sight. Put the chips on a high shelf or in a box in the garage so grabbing them isn't the default. Create friction for bad habits. Charge your phone in another room overnight, or uninstall one distracting app and put its web page behind a password. Create low-friction paths to good habits. Lay out workout clothes and shoes next to your bed, or keep a pitcher of water in the fridge so staying hydrated is the easier move. These are tiny acts with outsized effect because they change the situation, not your inner strength. Use implementation intentions and concrete scripts to bridge intention and action. Write simple if-then lines like, if it's 8:0 p.m., then first I'll spend 10 minutes prepping tomorrow's lunch. Or if first I'm tempted to scroll Instagram at work, then first I'll open my notes app and list the next 2 tasks. Pair tasks with rewards so you want to do them. Only listen to your favorite podcast during the workout, or treat yourself to a small dessert after 2 focused Pomodoro sessions. This is called temptation bundling, and it works because it links a habit to immediate appeal. Commitments help too. Put a calendar block for focused work and tell a colleague you'll be offline during that time. Social friction makes skipping harder. Plan for low-energy days by setting defaults and fallback behaviors. When you're exhausted, doing the full version of a habit might be unrealistic, so create a 2-minute version. 2 minutes of stretching, 5 minutes of inbox triage, or 1 quick phone call to pay a bill. Those tiny versions keep momentum without demanding heroic will. Track tiny wins visibly, a checkbox on a wall calendar or a simple habit app, and use them as proof you can keep promises to yourself. When you slip up, decide in advance how you'll recover. 1 missed workout doesn't become a streak ender if your plan is missed 1 day, do a 15-minute walk tomorrow. Willpower can help, but it's unreliable and narrower than most people assume. The practical route is to shape your context, automate decisions, and build systems that work for your real life. Short on spare willpower, long on responsibilities. Try a few changes this week. Move 1 temptation, automate 1 decision, and add 1 2-minute fallback. Small, concrete moves beat grand resolve more often than not, and they don't require you to be a superhero. How habits really form in the brain. The brain builds habits by turning repeated sequences of thought and action into fast, automatic routines, using circuits that live largely in the basal ganglia, while the prefrontal cortex handles planning and decision-making at first. This is not mystical. It's a change in wiring called synaptic plasticity. When neurons fire together often enough, their connections strengthen and a pathway becomes the brain's preferred route. Think of it like worn footpaths through grass. The more you walk the path, the easier it is to follow it without thinking. A simple pattern explains most habit formation. A cue triggers a routine, and a reward reinforces it. A phone buzz, cue, leads to unlocking and scrolling, routine, and then a small hit of novelty or social feedback, reward. Dopamine shows up during this process, but not just as pleasure. It signals prediction and learning, sharpening the link between the cue and the expected outcome. In plain terms, dopamine helps the brain notice what worked so it can do it again when the same cue appears. Automation happens through repetition plus consistent context. When the environment and timing stay stable, the brain can chunk sequences into single actions, like launching a morning routine as one habit rather than a string of decisions. That's why brushing your teeth in the same spot after waking feels effortless, while trying to add a new practice in a variable setting stays hard. The prefrontal cortex hands control off to subcortical circuits as the routine becomes reliable, freeing up mental energy for other tasks. Use this wiring to your advantage with practical moves that change cues, routines, and rewards. Make cues obvious. Place running shoes by the door, keep a water bottle on your desk, set a calendar alert with a clear label. Lower friction for the routine. Lay out clothes the night before, have a simple 5-minute version ready, or keep tools within reach. Make rewards immediate and tangible so the brain records success quickly. A small, real treat, a check on a habit tracker, or a moment of quiet pride counted as a win. Plan the environment to act as a coworker that reminds you what to do. Remove tempting cues for unwanted habits and add supportive cues for the ones you want. Use implementation intentions phrased as if-then statements. When tent happens, first we'll do Y. Stack new habits onto existing ones by attaching them to reliable anchors. After pouring your morning drink, do the short habit you want to build. Keep the steps tiny at first, so the circuit can strengthen without demanding massive willpower. Expect setbacks and prepare for them practically. If a cue is missed or you skip the routine, have a simple restart rule. Do a shorter version instead of abandoning the whole effort. Track small wins to keep the learning signal clear. Tell a friend or join a small group for external cues and accountability that your brain notices as real social feedback. Habits are not moral failures or mere stubbornness. They're the brain optimizing for speed and predictability. Use context, repetition, and immediate rewards to shape those optimizations. With steady, small actions designed around how the brain actually learns, you can build useful routines that run on autopilot instead of draining your willpower. Designing tiny, sustainable daily actions. Small habits stick when they're tiny, concrete, and attached to something you already do. Choose one action that takes less than 2 minutes, something so small it feels almost silly. For example, put 1 glass of water on your bedside table, set out your running shoes next to the bed, or write a single sentence toward a project instead of promising an hour of writing. These micro-commitments remove the decision and lower the bar far enough that the action actually happens. Make the plan explicit within when/then statement. Say it out loud or write it down. When first make my morning coffee, then first will do 1 minute of stretching. Or after first close my laptop for the day, first we'll pick up one thing to put away. This kind of implementation intention is practical. No willpower needed to remember what you decided. Use existing routines as anchors. Your brain already runs those routines, so the tiny action piggybacks on that momentum. Engineer your environment to favor the small action and block friction. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow and keep your phone in another room. For healthier snacking, keep fruit in a visible bowl and hide chips in a high cupboard. Remove barriers. Lay out a yoga mat where it's visible. Keep a pen and notebook by your desk, or put the water bottle on the kitchen counter. Conversely, make unwanted behaviors slightly harder. Store the TV remote in a drawer or unsubscribe from one distracting app. Reward the action immediately, even if the reward is tiny and silly. Say nice out loud, place a sticker on a calendar, or enjoy a 2-minute coffee break after the habit. The quick positive feedback reinforces the loop. Track only 1 or 2 tiny habits at first. Checking a calendar box or adding a dot on a habit sheet acts as a visible win and helps you notice progress without creating extra work. Expect misses and plan simple recovery steps. If you forget, do the tiny action as soon as you remember, or set a one-step fallback, like if first miss my morning cue, first we'll do the 2-minute habit in the evening. Avoid guilt. The same day or the next small action is enough to restart momentum. Think in terms of continuity, not perfection. One skip day doesn't cancel a month's progress. Scale slowly and sensibly when the tiny action becomes effortless. Double the time, or add a second micro-habit only after the first happens automatically most days without thought. For example, once doing 1 push-up after brushing your teeth feels normal. Add another or move to a 3-minute routine. Keep changes incremental so the habit remains sustainable for a busy life. Small, repeatable moves add up. Treat them like tiny gears that keep the whole machine running without needing heavy-handed willpower. Making habits easier than old behaviors. Small obstacles change behavior more than pep talks do. If getting to the gym requires a long drive, talking yourself into going matters less than simply moving your gym clothes to the car the night before. The brain favors the path of least resistance, so lower the resistance for the new behavior until it feels easier than the old habit you want to replace. This isn't about moralizing or grit. It's about redesigning your environment so your future self doesn't have to argue with your present self. Start by mapping the steps required for both actions. Write down every move from thought to completion for the old habit and for the new one. You'll often find the old habit is already streamlined. The snacks are within reach, the couch faces the TV, the wallet is in the same pocket. Make the new habit require fewer or simpler moves. Put a water bottle by your workspace, pre-cut vegetables, and keep them at eye level. Place running shoes beside the bed. Each removed step is a tiny victory that adds up. Use defaults and automation to make the healthy choice the easy choice. Set up recurring transfers so saving happens without thinking. Subscribe to meal kits or use grocery delivery so you're not tempted by fast food on a tired night. Apply the one-touch rule. If a behavior can be completed with one action, click, open, sit, it will be much easier to do consistently. For example, leave a journal open on your desk so a single glance and scribble replaces a long decision process. Create immediate cues that favor the new habit and add small rewards that don't undercut your goals. Put a book on your pillow to nudge reading instead of doom scrolling. Keep a favorite mug to make tea more appealing than sugary drinks. Set your phone to grayscale to make apps look less inviting. The reward can be tiny, a satisfying check mark, a short stretch, a breath, as long as it makes your brain register completion. Consistency often follows repeated tiny wins, not dramatic performance. Swap friction locations. Increase the effort for the old behavior while decreasing it for the new one. Charge your phone in another room so lounging with it is less convenient, and keep a yoga mat unrolled in the living room so doing 5 minutes of movement is the obvious option. Design your space like a one-way street that channels you toward the habits you want. It's less about willpower and more about architectural choices. If the new behavior still feels big, shrink it into a micro version so it's impossible to refuse. Commit to 1 minute of exercise instead of a full workout. Promise to write a single sentence instead of an essay. Often the hardest part is starting, and a small start reduces the perceived cost. Once started, momentum and context make it easier to continue. Like turning on a light in a dark room, you're more likely to stay once you're there. Finally, tidy up the decision environment regularly. Spend 10 minutes each week removing temptations and restocking supports. Move the cookie jar out of reach. Refill healthy snacks. Update your automation rules. clear browser bookmarks that lead to time sinks. Think of habit design as maintenance, not a one-time renovation. These practical edits won't feel heroic, but they will make new behaviors steadily easier than the old ones. Tracking progress without obsession. Small, visible records make progress concrete and keep your brain from turning every missed day into a crisis. Visual cues act as reminders and reduce the need to decide repeatedly whether you did something. That lowers mental friction and helps habits stick. Tracking is most useful when it captures simple, observable actions: a tick for a workout, a check for a completed chapter, a quick note when you hit your breathing break. Because facts are less dramatic than feelings and easier to act on later. Pick one clear metric and keep the entry method low friction. Use a paper calendar and draw in 10th. Keep a single column in your phone notes, or add a checkbox to the top of your to-do list. If you prefer automation, set your running watch to auto-log workouts or use a habit app that requires one tap to mark completion. Example: if you want to read more, record the number of pages or simply mark the day read instead of tracking how you felt about the reading. The simpler the record, the less it tempts you to overanalyze. Create boundaries around checking the data so it informs you without becoming an obsession. Decide in advance how often you will review. A 2-minute glance at the end of the day and a 5-minute look once a week is enough for most people, and stick to that window. Use a no-judgment rule during reviews. Treat misses as signals, not failures. For instance, if you notice a 3-day gap in your walk streak, write down one reason and one tiny change to try next week. Don't escalate to detective mode. Curiosity beats interrogation. Favor process metrics over outcomes because they tell you what you can control. Track the number of practice sessions, minutes spent, or days you perform the habit instead of weight changes, test scores, or other external results. If your goal is better sleep, log the bedtime routine actions you actually completed rather than how you slept that night. When a metric stops helping, you're gaming the system or avoiding the real task. Switch it. A running example: if distance feels intimidating, measure time on feet instead. Use simple rituals to keep tracking useful and light. At the end of each week, answer 2 quick questions: what went well, and what one small tweak will first try next week. Keep your logs visible, but not obsessive. A calendar on the fridge, a single sticky note, or a habit app with a muted notification. And be practical. If you miss a day, 10th it out and move on. That's how gardens grow. Not by staring at the soil, but by watering regularly and letting things take root. Quick recap. Pick one tiny habit, make it 2 minutes or less, attach it to something you already do, reduce friction, and track it for a week. Design your space so the cue is obvious, the friction is low, and a tiny reward closes the loop. Treat willpower like your phone battery. Use design, not drama. First, get that you're busy, so try this exact plan tonight. Choose one habit, read 1 page, do 2 minutes of stretching, write 1 sentence. Put a reminder where you'll see it, link it to an existing routine, after coffee, before brushing teeth, and mark it on your calendar or a sticky note. Tell 1 friend you'll do it for 7 days, so you've got a little accountability. Review after a week and expand by 30, 60 seconds if it feels doable. If this helped, tap the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where first we'll walk through simple habit stacking templates, printable trackers, and small environment tweaks you can apply in 10 minutes. Share in the comments which tiny habit you'll start. First, we'll pick a few to shout out in the next episode. You don't need heroic willpower. You just need a tiny plan and consistency.